Welcome to Cut the Slack with your hosts Billy Candelaria and Timothy J. Coy. Sponsored by InlandEmpireHealth.com and PremierLocalMedia.com.
3, 2, 1.
So how are we doing tonight?
How are you?
Men.
All right, you ready to get started on this?
Bring us in.
Okay, cool. All right, well, welcome back to Cut the Slack. We are doing a special edition. We've got a guest here with us, and we're going to be talking about sales today. But before we get into that, we want to talk about how you guys met. And from what you found, I want to know, is sales good or bad? Is it the angel or the devil in this world? So we're going to
jumping in here.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But I'm curious, like, how did you guys meet? Where did this start?
Yeah, sounds good. So my name's Steven. I live down in San Diego. I'm in car sales. I've been in sales for a while, selling cars now for about 8 years. I did cell phones for a while as well. I worked for Verizon. Billy and I we met. We grew up back home in Highland, California, Redlands area. I went to Clement Middle School for all 3 years. Did you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was going to say. Was it Clement and high school?
It was Clement and high school. And
okay.
I actually, we had the entire time, pretty much all, 7 years, we just had different classes, but we all had kind of the same mutual friends.
Yeah.
And so we had the same social circle, but we're never really, we just never.
Okay,
really
so from what you're saying, it sounds like you guys are longtime friends, bosom buddies, right? Or not? More like mutual acquaintances?
Mutual acquaintances.
Okay.
And, I've been following Billy on Instagram for a while. We've been friends on social media for years. Just as, like I said, you just have that inner social circle.
Right.
That you're just like, oh, well, he's my friend on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah, and you guys have known each other loosely through school.
Yeah, exactly.
Had mutual friends. Any girls that you know? Or?
We're not going to get into that right now.
Okay,
but,
all right. We don't want to put anybody on blast.
Again, it's a small social circle. Let's just say that.
Got it. All right. But you weren't really like hanging out or, like high school buddies. Is that right?
I mean, we were at all the same parties.
Yeah, we're on the same parties, same groups, same gatherings. But it was just never like, hey, Billy, let's go out to Baker's.
Right. Yeah.
I
You
know
played
this
football.
guy.
You played football in high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All years? Every year?
I played football all 4 years. I did soccer and track and field.
Okay.
And,
What position on football?
I was a kicker.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay, so that's where the soccer comes
Yeah,
from.
soccer and just kind of overlays. And I actually ended up going to San Diego State. That's what made me move down to San Diego.
Okay.
And so I played at San Diego State for 2 years, and then just decided, oh man, I want to have a social life. I want to have fun. I want to, be involved and just kind of learn and grow, because being a college athlete really takes over.
It's consuming.
It's very consuming.
And there's not really any wiggle room, because you're either practicing or
you're practicing, you're hitting weights, you're at the gym, and or you're in class or mentoring, mandatory mentoring. It's a constant thing.
Sure.
And so there's no juggle of, you either play football or you have a social life.
So there's all these people having fun, and then there's the athletes.
Yeah, and then we're waking up at 5, 6 in the morning, and to go lift weights, and everybody else is coming back from the parties, and you're seeing everybody come from the parties,
especially at SDSU.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I've known some people that go there, and my daughter has some friends that are going down there, and they're having a great time.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. So then So you had this kind of like loose relationship. You knew each other. You went to the same parties, same kind of friends, stuff like that. And then it sounds like you kept in touch on social media, right? Yeah.
So just more recently, I suppose, Billy started posting stuff about like Grant Cardone and just influencing inspirational, motivational quotes and videos. And over the last few years, I've really kind of had that same kind of mindset, of 10x and growth and sales and, just doing more in life than just getting by. And so that's something that really, inspired me. And so I'd comment on, Billy's stuff and be like, hey man, I really have that same kind of mindset, that same kind of drive. And then he came out, posting something about podcasts, and I was like, dude, that's so rad, because I love podcasts. I listen to Bigger Pockets. I also listen to those, like murder mystery shows. And so there's a lot of stuff I listen to. And I said, man, I've been wanting to do a podcast just, for myself, and just I don't know. I love the whole idea of it. And now that Billy's just doing it, it's making me really want to just go forward.
Hell yeah.
And that's what all the stuff he posts about is just actually going out and doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what really just I'm inspired, and, he's a leader.
Well, that's a really great point. And I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits, which is a really cool book about taking habits and minimizing them down to the atom, the atomic level. So it's kind of got an explosive title, but they talk about movement versus action. And I think that's really an important part of success. So movement, as an example, would be saying, I want to do a podcast. So then you start reading every book under the sun about doing a podcast, and then there's action, which is what Billy did, which actually got us here today. He went and bought a set. He bought these microphones and met up with me, and I had the mixing board, and we're like, okay, we've got what it takes. Let's get it together. So I think that's an important part of life. When you're talking about 10X, that's what Grant Cardone is really all about, is getting out there and taking action and then multiplying that action times 10 or, as he said, sometimes 100,
for sure.
But that's cool.
Yeah. And so, kind of to your point, because I know that what you do, you're a health coach.
Yeah.
Right. And so, saying one thing versus doing it, you're just not only living the dream and living and breathing what you do of being healthy, is you're inspiring others. And you're taking that next step of just, instead of talking about, you're being about it. And so you're getting a whole team together, you and your wife. I had a nice discussion with her, and she's all about it. You guys follow this strict regimen, strict diet, and it's not just for the health benefits of yourselves, but it's inspiring, helping others.
Yeah.
And kind of like what you mentioned before, the good, the evil, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? It's selling something doesn't have to be a dollar amount, but it's selling maybe an idea.
Yeah.
And pushing people and kind of helping other people move forward and have a better life.
Right.
I think it's good.
I agree. I'm right on board with you. So you guys got together. You guys are both in sales. You kind of lived a parallel life, and then went apart as an adult-ish, but then kept in touch with social media.
Yeah,
you both ended up in sales. You're in car sales, and we discussed a little bit about your field before. So you're in home improvement, doing kitchens and patios and things like that.
Yeah.
How did you get into sales?
I read a book when I was 18 years old called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
Robert Kiyosaki. That's one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that book flipped my whole thinking. And I was working at the gas company at that time, and everyone was so pumped. Like, oh my God, the gas company, you're set for life. I think they start you at like $19 an hour. I was super young, and they're like benefits and the whole thing. Your career track is laid out. You're going to do meter reading for 2 years, and then you're going to become a tech, and then you're going to be a project manager. It's like they had the whole thing laid out with salary increases and this whole thing. And I'm out there reading the meters and listening to audiobooks and stuff like that, and just educating myself. And just because I'm out there, I thought it was really cool. Number one, because I'm out in nature and I'm getting a good exercise. I'm talking to people. You're
able to be free somewhat.
Yeah. And but I read this book, and I'm like, this is not the path. This is not the path. Like, I cannot do this. Both of my parents retired from the post office. My dad was there for 33 years. My mom was there for 31 years. And they, like I said, they built a life of their own, and they were successful in their own regard. But once I read that book, I realized you can't continue to sell your time. You have to generate value. Yeah. And so, the main topic of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is learn sales, number one. Learn how to lead people, number two, and then learn how to invest, multiply your money.
Sure. He started out kind of as he was the child of the poor dad, so to speak. Even though his dad was pretty well known, he was high up in the community, but was poor, so to speak. He made a good amount of money, but they still lived paycheck to paycheck. And then as he got older, he went into copier sales, didn't he? Right.
Yeah, one of his first jobs was with Xerox.
Yeah.
And that's where he really learned like frontline sales, how to use the numbers game to your favor.
Terrible.
Yeah.
At first, like terrible, real bad.
Yeah. Like everyone doing something new, and I think that's just the point in all of this, is that if you continue to swing at something, as long as you are demonstrating persistence and being able to recognize different adjustments along the way, you're gonna figure it out.
So how did you go from meter reading?
So
Yeah, what
sales.
makes you jump?
I mean,
to the next
obviously,
one?
yeah, you're elevating yourself mentally, and then
Yeah, where'd you go directly from the gas company? Where's the next step?
Next step was Toyota of Redlands.
Okay.
With our boy Diego,
Yeah.
and he was over there.
Mutual friend.
Yeah, and I started selling cars with him.
Nice.
We had the same sales manager, and this older guy. I won't say his name, but he was kind of a bulldog just in the business, and kind of like a mafioso type guy where he's just like, and you can see the structure where it's like a few older guys managing a bunch of young bucks,
right.
And it was fun. It was cool. We got to test drive a bunch of cars and go to the track and like do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Toyota's a great product, but ultimately, I just found myself going to a frat house every single day. And it was really distracting. It was really just the culture of that. And I'm not saying this is, industry wide, but the car sales culture that I experienced was it was just a lot of waiting. It was a lot of, grab ass, as you would say, type stuff.
Right.
Just a real fratty environment.
Right.
And
so you got all these young bucks, like you said. They're all, full of piss and vinegar, want to get sales, but when nobody's around, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's not like you're not like cleaning the floors or something like that.
Yeah. So you're literally standing on the corner saying red car, blue car. You had to call ups.
Yeah, you have to call your ups. Yeah.
So, yeah, you literally have to stand there.
And you have to hope. I mean, our at my store it's a little bit different. I'm at Toyota Carlsbad. We have an up system, so it's kind of like it's Tim and then Steven and then Billy gets the next up. But at your situation, your store, it was you have to wait, see a car, and hope that blue car comes in. And it's a blue car, blue Toyota, blue Mitsubishi, blue Honda, and it comes in.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, I called it first, so I'm being that one.
Is that how it goes?
And it's like
At
6 places?
At a lot of stores. It's either one way or the other. It's either there's an up system where it's, Tim, Steve, Billy, or it's 3 of us outside and we're waiting outside and we're hoping that the car we just called, like white Camry, is actually coming in. You actually are prejudging
sure
the car that's coming in.
Yeah.
And so you're doing a little bit of profiling.
You do that's all you have to do. Profile.
Well, there's a lot of that in sales too. You're trying to sum up the client to see if they're going to be a buyer.
Yeah, if they're qualified.
And hopefully you spend your time. You could have 3 people walk on the lot at any one time, and one of the 3 may be a buyer. All 3 maybe. Probably not. 2 out of 3 might. But you never know. You could have 2 people that are just looky-loos and they're wasting your time, even though they might be doing some research and education. So it's a gamble.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that you learn in sales, or one of the biggest things, at least on the car lot, is you never prejudge somebody. And I think it goes for all of sales. You never prejudge anybody. I have one situation in mind that always comes to mind. We had the same situation. I was at another dealership beforehand, before I started Toyota Carlsbad. Is we used to call ups, and so this person comes in, and she's dressed in rags, nearly rags. She's just wearing big sweatpants. Her shirt has a bunch of holes in it. She has ketchup stains, mustard stains.
Wow. Good night.
Yeah, and her hair's all wild, and you're like, yeah, right. Good night, like it's like 3 in the afternoon. She hung over from the night before, and so everybody's like, I don't want to talk to this lady. Nobody wants to talk to her. We started prejudging her.
Right.
And so we prejudged her, and nobody talked to her except one guy. So you know what? I'm gonna go give her a shot. So he goes, talks to her, finds a car that she likes. They test drive it, come back. Turns out she works for Amazon as one of their main accountants, and she's like, well, how do you need me to pay for this? I have cash. And we're like, okay, sure.
That'll do.
And so she pulls up multiple accounts, not just one account, but multiple accounts. And she's like, okay, well, I have like $2 million in this savings, another few million in my 401k. I have $300,000 in my checking. And we all go, damn it, we all screwed up. And she ended up buying everything, and the
upgrades
and all that really kind of make your commissions kind of flourish, and
right.
You kick yourself and go, damn it, why did I do that to myself?
Yeah.
And you really got to not prejudge anybody. And luckily I learned that very, very beginning of my industry, or in my time. This is like in 2011. And so since then, you just really can't prejudge anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they come in a brand new Corvette, they could have no money. Or they come in an old beater like, you know, a 2005 Corolla. You know, they have a different mindset of how they control their money, how they save their money. And they say, look, I'm only going to buy a car every 15 years or 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Well, you make a great point. I think that is something that I think people needed to know about the sales industry. Sure, there's good and bad salespeople. There's good and bad doctors. There's good and bad mechanics, dentists, you name it. There's good and bad all in any industry. But the judgment factor is something, you know, that we get into. It's definitely a negative thing to judge, and it's not even really applicable anymore. You can't tell. One example I had was I was working for an educational company. They got bought out by an owner. The owner had a prestigious name. And he was coming down to see the shop, and I was out in the lobby, and this guy walks in. He's wearing a white T-shirt, kind of not the newest white T-shirt, wearing jeans that were kind of bell-bottomish, fringy. He had Birkenstocks on. I mean, we're in a suit and tie environment, right?
Sure.
We're all suited up, and you know, we had DC clients and lots of big multi-million-dollar clients at this company. He walks in, and we're ready to usher him out. We're saying, "Sir, I'm sorry. This is
Professional environment.
We don't have what you're looking for."
Oh, wow, yeah.
You know, we didn't say that, but he walks in and says his name. He was the millionaire owner that had bought the whole company and was walking in to check the place out, but he didn't care.
Yeah.
He didn't have to work there. So
right.
he drove a Jetta. You know, it was a nice car, but it wasn't, you know, a highfalutin Mercedes or a Bentley or anything like that matched his bank account. And to further that, I did an event in the event industry for the owner of LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
He's also an angel investor. Invested in a little company called PayPal when it got started, and a few other choice factors. And now, or at the point I met him, he was worth $5.2 billion. So he's worth way more now.
Yeah.
He shows up to the party. You would have never known who it was unless you saw a picture. Like, this was a kind of a black tie event. It was after a TED convention, so we had CEOs of companies coming in, fully catered, really nice deal after a TED talk down in Long Beach. He walks in like a Reebok pullover, windbreaker, and a pair of jeans and some Asics, you know, and we're like, "Oh, hi, how?" He's like, "Hey,
Sure.
How's everybody?" He was the greatest guy, very nice, you know. You were able to talk to him. He was very down to earth, and one of the things that he mentioned at one point was that he doesn't drive a fancy car. He at the time, this was a few years ago, he was driving a 1997 Acura. It worked.
Yeah.
and his comment about that was that I thought it was kind of cool, because to me, a millionaire is pretty awesome. So love all you millionaires out there. But this guy's a billionaire, 5.2 billion to be exact. So like many billions, more than 1 billion. I'm happy with just $1 million.
Yeah.
So just to kind of give you an idea of the scale. But so he said these millionaires, kind of like almost like these little millionaires. He didn't say that, but he said these millionaires, they'll go out and buy a Lambo, they'll buy a Ferrari because they're trying to show everybody that they're rich.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do that. Like, he could buy He could buy the whole hotel that we were in and own it right now.
Yeah.
And so, but you would have never known that when he was walking in. You would have never known that when he drove up in the 97 Acura, right? And he doesn't have to prove to anybody. So that was just kind of, those are two experiences that I had with what you would call profiling, or kind of sizing somebody up.
Right.
That just weren't really fair, and actually were doing you a harm, because you're
it's
treating
negative inner self-talk that's getting in the way of your success, you know.
Right.
And that's why inner game is so important. Like, you have to approach the day, the sale, fresh-minded, open, positive, no prejudgments, assume they're all qualified, and write them all up. you know? Write them all up. And
okay, so going back, I mean, we're talking about you getting car sales, and you went from car sales and you jumped to the next industry. What made you really jump to the next industry, other than, you know, coming back to the lot and going in and waiting and it being a frat house? You know, because I mean, it's like that at many car dealerships. I mean, we wait around, we wait for the up to come in, and yeah, you say, okay, here's my opportunity. And then after you're done with them, you're like, oh, okay, now we get to hang out again. So what really took you from that industry to the next level to really just have a more focused mindset? Was it a book you read, or is it just an industry or a drive?
So during working at Toyota of Redlands, I was still educating. Once I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I got hooked on just knowledge, you know, downloads. And so I was just getting everything I could, 48 Laws of Power, stuff on NLP, stuff on just psychology and the whole dynamic of what happens during a sale. And I fell in love with learning at that point. Sure. And I took an opportunity to travel and lead a group of people, friends that I hired, to go and do these Walmart remodels. So I had a buddy who owned this a construction company, and basically he's like, hey, if you want to work, we'll pay for your hotel, we'll pay for all your gas, we'll pay for all your food, we'll pay everything, and you'll get, you know, this amount of money per project. You just need to hire 2 or 3 guys that are down to go with you. And so one of my buddies, Ryan, he still works there to this day. He's been there, I think, 10 years now, 11 years now. Wow. And so it's a fun job, basically, that allows you to travel all throughout the United States. And the work wasn't hard, but basically, yeah, I would travel to different states, different cities throughout the country. And I would hire people in that city. I would take a core group of guys, and then I would hire people in different cities. It's just general labor type stuff, like paint the tube from here to there, or pressure wash this space, you know. Yeah. So it wasn't like challenging work, but I used that time to just almost become isolated in a hotel room and just soak up knowledge. And so while I was on the road, I would save up all my money, and then I would get back into town, because I would be gone for months on end, and I would have no expenses, and I would get back into town, and I would have like $30,000 saved up.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? You know? And so that I did that for a few years. Wow. And I just stacked everything away. For a few years there, I got super into buying gold and silver. Good. So literally, like, I would have 100-ounce bars of silver, a bunch of gold coins, and like I think I was mentioning this to you. I had a picture. My entire bed was full of metal, and so yeah, I met my.
You're like Italian job.
And so it's you know, I went from the car sales to basically a traveling construction job. And then once I get back, I did a teeth whitening business. I did a T-shirt business. I bought the whole setup. Me and Ronnie used to rent a house together.
Oh yeah, Ronnie.
And I turned the garage into a T-shirt little factory.
Do you still have that? You still have that as a side business or side hustle? You contracted out now?
No, I
need a couple shirts made.
But you know, I always, those were all failures, by the way. Like, I would dump it all in, and then I would realize, like, oh, I just created a lot of work for myself. Like, and so I was in this little loop of working, dumping all my money into something, failing, and then having to go back to work again. So
that's entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
It's a long word.
Yeah, entrepreneurialism. It's trying, failing, and then saying, how can I do better from my failures?
I did the same thing. I started a cleaning business that never had one client. I bought all the supplies. I got everything ready to go, and then I realized I don't want to go clean office buildings.
Yeah,
I definitely don't want to clean people's houses. Like, they're nasty. You know?
Yeah,
but I don't even like cleaning my own house. So I started.
I have the Roomba. I just press the button and it vacuums for me.
Let that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably had 3 or 4 businesses that started and failed or never started,
Yeah.
even though I had gotten the setup done. But that's the search.
That's the search. And so I went from that to actually education sales. I worked at a couple vocational schools as an admissions advisor, which was a little weird at first because I was still relatively young. I think I was like 23 or 24. And, people are looking to go back to school. Some of these people are in their 50s. And they show up and I'm in a suit and tie. And I'm like, all right, why are you here today? And so that was like a really good saturation of the sales process itself because they lay it out step by step. You have to, when someone's looking to go back to school, there's a story there.
Sure.
And you can't just, okay, yeah, here's a tuition. Here's a tour of the campus. Let's get you over to financial aid.
There's a bigger reason.
There's a much bigger reason that's buried under there, and it's the admissions counselor's role to bring that out and to tie meaning, deep life meaning, to why you're here. What led you here.
Right.
And that process was very revealing. And so a lot of these companies, there's a big controversy over them. There's been investigations. There's been like Dateline type stuff back, years ago, because a lot of these students, they're getting FAFSA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to say. But
entrepreneurial.
If you say it fast enough, it just bypass it. Fast.
Yeah. So
FAFSA.
Yeah.
FAFSA.
Yeah.
It's like FIFA.
But you want to say it FAFSA or something. That's how we all say it. Anyhow.
FAFSA.
So I went from that to owning my own company. I met my partners out in Orange County while I was doing the sales education thing, and we started a Cash for Gold business, and then that evolved into an electronic recycling company. And so, yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
That's like all over the map there.
Once we had that on autopilot, then I started doing independent consulting for other companies. Basically, I would put ads out for business owners looking to scale their companies and grow their company. And I would come in and basically, I would see their process. I would say, okay, well, let's do this. Let's add in this one question here at the end, and create basically structure for them to grow their companies.
So you became kind of a
Consultant.
Yeah. And then I met the owner of a patio company here in Corona, and that's when I started doing patio covers. I got into home improvement. So that was about 4 years ago, and since then I've done patio covers, all backyard remodeling, kitchen and bathroom remodeling, solar, roofing, really anything that has to do with home improvement.
Yeah. So you've got your area of expertise. You kind of got into that a little bit with the Walmart home improvement area, and then you went around the mulberry bush a few times with some other stuff.
Perfect.
And then kind of came into something that you already had a bit of a knowledge on. So let's talk about the angel and the devil. I think you really got into a key point when it comes to sales. So sales, when you say it, it kind of makes people cringe in a lot of ways.
Right.
I've done quite a bit of sales work on my own, telemarketing, whether it would be water filtration systems that make you feel good about helping people, like the education side of things, where you're actually helping someone along in their life and helping pull them out of something. Then there's the car salesman. There's the used car salesman that has a certain kind of connotation
kind
to
of
it.
a stigma towards them. Yeah.
Right. But the question is, so people in general cringe when you talk about sales, like it's bad, or like salespeople are sleazy. And like I said, there's good and bad in every profession, no matter where you go. But is sales good or bad? And how do you guys personify what you want to be in the sales world?
So kind of as Billy was speaking about, the vocational sales, you're helping these people that they haven't been in school in a long time, and they're 40, 50, 55 years old, and they're saying, look, I want to get my education. And what I really think sales is, it's more of you're helping them move in the direction they really want to go, but they're just not sure. They're uncertain. And so they want that certainty. They want to know, okay, I'm here at the university, or I'm here at the vocational school. Now what? Help me. Take me, Billy, take me through the steps. And as a salesperson, you just say, okay, great. I understand your problem. I understand your problem. Here's how I'm going to help move you forward into the direction you want to go. Here's what we're going to do. Here's where we're going to start. Here's where we're going to finish. And kind of like in the sales that you do as well, of health coach, it's saying, the people show up and say, look, I'm unhealthy. I know I need to change my life. My diabetes is here. I have type 2 diabetes. I want to overcome this, or I want to manage it better. I want to live for my kids, my grandkids, et cetera, my niece, my nephew. How do I get to this level? They show up and they say, look, I know this is what I want. I know this is the direction I want. Guide me.
Right.
And help me feel like what I'm buying is a good value.
Sure.
And so same thing with car sales or vacuum sales or bike sales or any kind of sales, patio cover.
There's a need.
There's a need. And, they say, I want to buy this car, but I want to know what I'm buying has value. I want to know that if I'm spending $20,000 or $40,000 or $100,000, that what I'm buying has certainty behind it, that I know that I could justify this.
Sure.
And so whether it's, again, buying a car or buying a cell phone, you're deciding between the Samsung or the Apple, what's justifiable.
So there's the question in the morality, I guess, when it comes to the sales industry. Are you forcing something on someone, or are you helping them find what's going to help their need?
I think you're helping them do what they came to do. People, especially like let's say in the car industry, or Billy does home improvement sales. They go online and they search. People have access to their cell phones and their laptops, and they spend hours of researching, hours of comparing, patio covers and fans and granite countertops and, maple versus oak versus pine. And they finally go, okay, this is a company I like. This is a company I think I want to go with. I'm comparing this company versus this company.
So then a salesperson comes in.
So then they go do the research and they call. They call and say, this is what I want.
Yeah.
I want and I want the certainty that what I'm going to be spending $40,000-$50,000 in a remodel, Billy, help me justify why this is a good idea. So I think it's more of a help.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. When I go to the store, I'm super indecisive, and I need somebody to say, yeah, that looks good. You should get it. I actually started shopping at Nordstrom because of that. Well, then their awesome return policy.
Yeah.
But the first time I went to Nordstrom, I had a $100 gift card. Somebody gave me a $100 gift card. I'm like, I don't shop at Nordstrom. That's for, rich hotty-totty people. I was wearing Calvin Klein shirts for the longest time. So I go there and, I said, I have a $100 gift card. I want to buy a nice dress shirt. So I put the dress shirt on and I'm trying it on, and the lady goes, I must say, you look good. You look really good. You could tell your shoulders fill out. The shirt looks tapered. It looks really well on you. It's nice cuff length. So I'm gonna get you some ties to complement that. But it made me feel good. It's this good feeling that what I'm spending is of value.
Right.
I want
to spend confirmation. You liked it.
100%. I got confirmation. I felt good. I mean, because otherwise, I never spent $80 on a dress shirt. I was spending $20, $30 at Calvin Klein, going to, the outlets and saying, oh, here, I'm going to spend $20, $30 on this. And I buy 4 of them instead of just one shirt that costs $80.
Sure.
So now I shop at Nordstrom because the way it makes me feel. That, and it's good quality. And so I'm able to justify the quality, that it is a thicker material. It's a nicer material. It's better, well fit and tailored. And so that lady justified it to me. Oh, it's this, it's that. And so that's who I think it is.
She gave you the confidence.
The confidence and the confirmation. And she said, this is why you're going to pay $80. And so I think in car sales and home improvement sales and health and fitness, because you could do health and fitness and buy your own groceries and buy everything and say, well, I don't need a coach. I could go buy this by myself. But they want that confirmation. Hey, look, these are the proven results. They're doing it. I'm taking that next step, moving forward. And so I think it's a good thing.
I think that, and I agree with what you're saying, there's a lot of benefit to all of those things, especially when you're going into a field that you don't really have detailed knowledge about. So in your case, she was helping you with fashion, letting you know if you looked good or not so good.
Right.
So in this case, the shirt fit. It was great quality. It's probably going to be better quality than something you buy for $5, at the T-shirt store.
Right.
In Billy's case, when you walk in, what I think is interesting is you talk about the consumer educating themselves, which I think is a great idea. You should always learn as much as you can, especially when you're going to make a major purchase. But even still, you might walk in to my house and I say, okay, I want to do this in the backyard.
Yeah.
And I want to get, I've been looking and I want this kind of fan. And you might know better. You might know the reviews on that kind of fan. You
Sure.
might know some challenges to installing it in that particular area that homeowner isn't aware of because of your experience.
Right.
So you're able to say, I see what you're saying. I get a lot of requests for that. But in your particular case, this might be a bad decision.
Right.
And
And,
you can,
these are the reasons why. And if you want those features, we can get you those same benefits with this product.
Right.
Right. So yeah, and that's where the value exchange exists. If there was none of that, there would be no sale. Like you said, someone can't just walk on the lot and you say, it's $28,000. Do you want it or not?
Yeah.
Like,
and there,
What?
part of the element
What
is-
just happened?
And part of the element kind of like, kind of like what you're saying, where you're saying, okay, I want this particular fan. And Billy says, yeah, that's a good fan, but here's why I think this is going to work better. And people come and they buy cars, they buy products based off of trust.
Yeah.
They buy stuff based off of trust. I trust Billy based off his knowledge, based off his education, and the way he presents himself. And you could lose somebody's trust like that. You really can by saying the wrong thing. You may offend somebody and not even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, people buy based off of how they trust you.
Yeah.
Not so much.
that's a great point.
Yeah, not so much the price. I mean, price to some people, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
But but what they really want is trust. They want to know, again, trust and confirmation. You sound like a stand-up guy. You know what you're talking about. You lost 40 pounds. I trust you. I trust you that I'm going to buy your product and it's going to help me lose weight. I trust Billy. Billy's remodeled his kitchen. It looks good. His value's gone up in his home, $30,000-$40,000 because of this. I trust you. You believe in what you drive. You believe in what you buy.
And you're sharing pertinent knowledge that is
Yeah.
guiding the person in the way that's going to be most beneficial to them. So I think that's the difference between a good salesperson and a bad salesperson, whereas one might just be trying to shove a product down your throat or get you to buy it or try to meet their quota. Then you have the good salesperson that's asking about your why. Why are you here? What are your needs? What are you looking for? Because I might walk on the lot and say, look, I want the hottest sports car you got.
Yeah.
But then when you start talking to me, you might find out that I've got 5 kids.
Yeah.
And I really don't want a high car payment, and I don't really want a high insurance payment, and I do a lot of grocery getting. So the sports car may not be the right choice for me. Maybe the minivan will fit my needs a little bit better. And then you come out kind of looking like a hero because you're able to take them through the process, ask them the question about, why they want the car, what are they looking to do, is it going to be feasible? Hey, if you've got 5 kids and you just want a sports car, ain't nothing wrong with that. But if that's your only car and it's a 2-door, then
Right.
it may not be the best. Or if I walk on and say, I'm looking for a single cab 4x4, you're going to ask me some questions as to why.
Right, exactly. And, and kind of going back where I said you could lose somebody's trust is because we do get people like that where they have 3 kids and, you're comparing a Camry versus a Corolla, and then they also have a dog or a pet, an animal, and say, well, let me show you the differences. But they have their mindset on the Corolla because it's going to be $35 less. And you say, here's why I think this is going to be a better value to you. And so to some people, and that's why some people have this bad idea about salespeople, is they say, well, they're against me. They're just trying to upsell me.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying, no, the Corolla's a great car. It's a great car. It's a great product. There's space. There's room. But you have 2 car seats and a booster. I think maybe a Camry might be a better fit for you overall. There's more space. There's more room.
Sure.
It's a little bit more comfortable. Your family's just going to continue to grow. And to some people, they see that as, they're against me. They're just trying to upsell me $35 so they can make a commission.
I think that happens a lot when it's kind of the opposite, I guess, of what I was saying. When a family of 4 comes in and you're like, dude, get the sports car. You're gonna look great in that thing.
Yeah.
You know, forget about the kids. You know, or you have a certain people in certain businesses that are trying to push a certain agenda. And they're like, it's whatever the flavor of the month is, and the company's pushing them to sell a certain thing regardless of what the client
like
wants.
how some people perceive pharmaceutical sales.
Oh.
Is that, you know, they push meds, you know, they push this on you, push that on you. Doctors just trying to push this upon you, you know.
That's an interesting topic.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing, but yeah, I mean, sometimes. Yeah.
So my headline on Instagram is, and I've had it for a while now, but it says, it's okay to be pushy if number one, the person you're pushing will benefit, and number two, you believe in what you're pushing, you know.
Sure.
And so, and I stick to that, because people that are just looking around or kicking tires, or, you know, they're looking at a new kitchen or a backyard and they haven't pulled the trigger yet, they lack certainty. And they know that having whatever it is that they want will make them feel better. It's gonna be a better space for their family. There's gonna be long-term enjoyment and fulfillment from making that decision, but they haven't made it yet. And so there's procrastination is a thing that is not okay. Like going back to movement versus action.
Sure.
Or what, you know,
that's it. You got
right?
it.
So there's a lot of movement out there. You can make a lot of movement, but if you're not taking action, there's no benefit for anyone.
That's a great point. Procrastination hardly ever helps anything.
Anything.
I had one thing happen when I waited to file my taxes, and then it worked out. But that's rare.
Yeah.
You know?
I like professionally persistent instead of pushy.
Yeah.
By the way, I like that term.
It is.
People are like, "Oh, you're pushy." I'm like, I'm professionally persistent.
Well, that's
I like
what's
that.
kind of funny about the sales industry, you know, and we've all been in the sales industry. We've done it. You know, there's the noble cause and there's the not so noble. But I have a standard as a consumer, and what that is if the person doesn't contact me multiple times, I'm probably not going to buy.
Thank you for joining us on Cut the Slack. For more information on health and nutrition, please visit us at inlandempirehealth.com. For more information on promoting your business, visit us at premierlocalmedia.com.